week's video is all about how to improve your ability to focus and get shit done. Let's be honest, creative people are rarely described as type A. In fact, we're usually described as flaky individuals that are easily distractible. We're considered project hoppers, people who like to follow shiny objects. Creative people haven't exactly been known for their ability to focus or to follow through with projects. Fortunately, or unfortunately, focus has become a skill that is in short supply today, regardless of industry. Before I delve into this topic anymore, I do want to acknowledge that a lot of these concepts and ideas have come from Cal Newport's work, specifically his book Deep Work and his follow-up book Digital Minimalism. If you find the ideas that I talk about in this video interesting, then I highly recommend that you check out Cal Newport's work, either his books or his blog, which is called Study Hacks. Now that I've acknowledged where these ideas have come from, let's get back to the topic at hand. The reason why our focus has become so diminished is pretty obvious. I mean, the internet, new technology, and smart devices are endless sources of interruption and disruption. In the case of academia, email, smartphones, and the internet have been readily adopted within this industry, and it is an industry, because they supposedly save time. Now it is super easy to organize meetings and projects that involve multiple people through the convenient format of email. Now, it is so easy to get into contact with our colleagues, our family and friends through our smartphones. And thanks to the internet, we have unlimited access to a wealth of free knowledge and information. Despite all of these bonuses to academics and academia in general, you will notice that scholarly output has not increased alongside the introduction and adoption of these technologies into the academy. Some people argue that scholarly output has plateaued. Others say it has actually declined. One reason why our creative output has suffered is because it is so easy and convenient to contact one another. We all know that it is difficult to get into a state of focus after we've been interrupted by someone. We've all had that experience. However, and this is very interesting, studies show that it is also difficult to get into a state of focus if you expect to be interrupted. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to get work done when you're the only person home? Or if you go into the office over the weekend? But I personally think it's fascinating that our productivity can drop measurably simply because we fear a potential interruption. Now, interruptions are not limited to a knock on the door. The bing of an incoming email, a text message, or a notification are just as disruptive. So how long can we focus for anyway? Our society is structured around a 40-hour work week. This is a totally arbitrary number, and it's based on machinery from the industrial age. It's not based on research data or any factual information. So we have this 40-hour work week, and yet studies show that we can actually only concentrate for 4 or 5 hours a day, max. After this 4 or 5 hours of intense focus, the only thing you can really handle after that is light tasks like email or admin or any other unspecialized task. In fact, Sweden is now making a move to a 30-hour work week because a study showed that productivity stayed stable despite working less hours and workplace drama decreased. It typically takes 20 minutes to get into a state of deep concentration. However, the average office worker is interrupted every 11 minutes, either by email, a phone call, or a colleague dropping in. So you do the maths. Basically, no one is ever getting a chance to produce anything meaningful. There is a reason why so many writers do their work in the early morning or really late at night. Because there's no one around to interrupt you, no one's looking for you, no one can contact you. Now, all that being said, you supposedly can only concentrate for 4 or 5 hours a day. However, you can push yourself to focus for longer, say 8 or 12 hours, but you have to take frequent breaks. It's recommended that you do not work for any longer than 90 minutes without a break, and the break should be 10 or 20 minutes long. During this break, it's ideal that you engage with activities that have nothing to do with the project you're concentrating on. So make a cup of tea and stare out the window. Go and talk to a family member or a friend or a colleague. You can read an article in the newspaper, provided it's not in alignment with the project you're concentrating on. If you are incredibly disciplined, you can open your email inbox. However, there is a warning here. The problem with email is that in that 10 or 20 minute break, you may not have enough time to properly reply to a request that's made of you. If you read an email and think, I'll get back to that later, and then you return to your proper work, then half of your mind is still going to be writing that email response, while the other half is trying to get back into that deep state of focus. It will take approximately 20 minutes for your brain to fully focus on your project and to forget about that email. So, the caveat here is be very careful before opening your email. You want to really make a solid time block to deal with your email. Don't be hopping in and out of it all day. The next thing I want to talk about is simplify to amplify. If you want to achieve big things, then you have to say no to all of the opportunities and requests that don't align with that goal. As Marie Forleo says, you gotta simplify to amplify. Take a look at your workload and ask yourself the following questions. Which tasks do I really need to do? Which of these tasks are gonna move the needle? Will this task lead to my desired result? Is this task actually important, or am I using it as a way to look busy? That last one stings a bit, doesn't it? When you can pinpoint what your priorities are, it's way easier to let go of all the frivolous tasks and requests that are made of you. For example, let's say you want to write a book or an article and you've decided to make that your top priority. Suddenly, spending 30 minutes every day writing social media posts and commenting back to all of the replies now seems kind of silly. Don't get me wrong, building an online audience is fantastic and you should do it, but what good is an audience if you have no articles or books for them to read? The ability to focus in a world filled with distraction and interruptions is a specialized skill, but it's a skill that you can learn, develop, and grow. If you'd like to improve your ability to concentrate, then I highly recommend that you block out large chunks of time in your calendar, say a 2 or 4 hour block a couple times a week, for you to do this deep, concentrated work. You need to treat these blocks of time like you would any other appointment. Do not break this commitment to yourself. Log out of your email and put your phone on flight mode. You gotta really dedicate yourself to this. If your fingers itch to just check your phone or email, you must strengthen your resolve to stick with the task at hand. If it suddenly seems vitally important to Google a certain method, a fact, a procedure, a recipe, a dog grooming technique, write this down on a notepad and promise yourself that you will look up said thing later. Learning to focus isn't easy, and few people would describe this process as fun. But here's something I want you to remember. There is little satisfaction had in a day spent replying to email. Just remember that the next time you go to open your inbox. Well, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or feel free to subscribe. Know that you can always check me out on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I also have a website, taraeast.com, where I post weekly writing advice blogs. If you sign up for my weekly email newsletter, you'll also gain access to my free workbook, the Writers Kickstarter Pack, How to Write a Blog and Get Published. I hope you've had a fantastic week, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.